Hello everyone, welcome back to the FTCR, DuckTales Remastered LP. We're now in the final level, and now it's back to just me and MBM, and I think we're going to use this part so MBM can diverge a lot of the sweet trivia he knows about the DuckTales lore.
It's not a whole lot. One thing I do know is just a bit about the McDuck family. So, we all know that Huey, Dewey, and Louie are Scrooge McDuck's grand-nephews. So, what exactly does that mean? Well, Scrooge McDuck has a younger sister, and her name is Hortense McDuck. She married Quackmore Duck, and they had twin children. Those twins are Donald Duck and Della Duck. So Donald Duck is actually a twin. Not a lot of people know that. So it kind of makes sense that there's actually triplets in the family because, as you know, twins and triplets and multiple offsprings, that's actually a hereditary trait that is apparently present in the McDuck family. So Della Duck is Huey, Dewey, and Louie's mother. So Donald Duck is Huey, Dewey, and Louie's actual, first line uncle, and Scrooge McDuck is then their grand uncle or grunkle, as Disney is now sticking with that word. Now, who is their dad? That's up to debate. They're actually not entirely sure on what is the name of Huey, Dewey, and Louie's dad. His name kind of changes, his name kind of goes in and out. It's honestly, you're better off just forgetting about their dad. It's well, the only importance he's ever had was when Huey, Dewey, and Louie first appeared in the comics. The reason that the boys were being dropped off at Donald's house was because the boys set a giant firecracker under their dad's chair and put him in the hospital. And she's like, "Oh, my little darlings are so playful. Your husband's in the hospital. Your children are a menace to society."
It's like in the original DuckTales cartoon at the first episode, it's never explained why, but that they're living with Donald, and because he joins the Navy, Donald in turn drops them off with Uncle Scrooge.
Yeah, so the boys have been... It kind of makes sense once they get to Uncle Scrooge why they're little shits. I mean, first their mom dropped them off, then their uncle dropped them off. It's like they're just being abandoned left and right by all of their family members. I mean, it's like foster care. Eventually, just all of the abandonment builds up in the kids and they start acting out. Makes sense. But that was actually the first reason. What actually ends up being, I think the reason in DuckTales, because what happens is the whole firecracker incident was only the first time. I believe all subsequential reasons why the boys live with Donald, or then later live with Scrooge, is because Della Duck is the pilot. And she actually becomes the first female astronaut in the Disney universe. So what happens is Della Duck's kids are so shitty, she drops her kids off and goes to space.
I love that.
So, honestly, it would have been kind of interesting if maybe we had run into Della in the moon.
One thing I like in this cutscene, depending because you can't play the levels in any order, the last level you do of the 5 will trigger which item Scrooge gives Glumgold last. But because we did this in order, he had to choose. If we say did Amazon last, he would be throwing in the back scratcher.
Because it's just so damn valuable. Also, you mentioned a few parts back about a unknown fourth nephew. Yeah, they sometimes, very few comics have accidentally. They've actually said that fourth nephew is an accident, which, ow. He's sometimes dubbed as Fooey, or
Fooey, yeah.
It's Fooey, and he is the long-lost brother.
I will say though, I love that the animation. Pretty much, this game's kind of like SA1, where there's stock animations for the cutscenes. The bit where it ends, where Glumgold and Scrooge shake hands, I like that. It's a pretty nice piece of animation.
Nice.
Now, I have never been able to pronounce the name of this level. Very Venus? Visa Venus?
Dude, I have enough trouble with English. Do you really think I'm gonna be going out of my way to get these names right?
So, obviously, along with the money bin, this is a entirely original level. Although, unlike Money Bin, which just serves as a pretty simple tutorial, this is probably the hardest level in the game. And what are your thoughts about this one?
I like that they added this because even though the DuckTales game is very structurally similar to a Mega Man game, once you beat all the levels, you just go to the boss, and it's kind of anticlimactic. I do enjoy with this how they add, a Wily stage equivalent. Because it feels missing in the original. I'll admit that the original game kind of feels like it's missing a level before the boss fight.
Well, I mean, it's weird because even if you compare it to, say, Mega Man 1, it's still lacking a lot of levels.
Yeah, in terms of the number, but I still feel that right before the final boss, there should have been something. Not just going through Transylvania, no less, again and again. Because you already had to backtrack to Transylvania for the African Mine Key. And now we have to go back to get to the final boss? That's kind of sad.
See, to me, that just shows that even the creators felt that Transylvania was the best level in the game. That's why you have to keep doing it so many times.
True that. You only go to the moon once.
Get fucked, moon.
Cause fuck the moon. No, do not actually fuck the moon.
So yes, I mean, you know what? And we talked about some of the stuff in the comics, and of course, the comic work was done by Carl Banks, who I mean, what's kind of funny about that? So the kind of the logo treatment for DuckTales is obviously inspired by the logo for Indiana Jones, and both Spielberg and Lucas have said that a inspiration for them was some of the original Carl Banks and Uncle Scrooge books.
Yep. They're very adventure-based. I mean, Scrooge McDuck is a superhero outside of, having actual powers. I mean, he does extraordinary things, and his whole dealio is just going on adventures, pulling off the impossible, falling into magma waterfalls. I mean, for being honestly, when you think of a Disney comic book starring a duck, you don't think of that being all that action-packed, but they're just as adventure action-packed as, any DC Marvel comic.
Now, I remember because we had many conversations, and you know what? I want to bring this back to an earlier part where we talked about Cranky Kong ripping off Donkey Kong's, ripping off Scrooge McDuck as a kind of retaliation for the minecarts.
Yep.
This obviously, it just, the kind of the silhouetted platformer obviously invokes Donkey Kong Country Returns.
Yep, and I love that stick. Like I said, if they're gonna rip each other off, fine by me, because those are two great games that, you know what, just cross them over already. Just kiss.
It's because normally this style works great, but they tried it in Sonic Lost World and it looked pretty bad.
Yeah, but didn't they do it with a blue background?
Yeah, it's not as good.
Because the problem is you have to really make the background extremely bright in order for the whole aesthetic of that to work properly.
The reason why I kept on jumping on him there was to try and trigger his dialogue.
Oh, does he lose his patience and say, "Hurry up, McDuck"?
I let children and billionaires first. One thing I do like about this level, which it kind of reminds me of, in certain ways, Kirby 64, because in certain levels, some of the other characters like DDD or Waddle Dee or the Painter would do things to help you progress the level. And at this point, there's moments where, as we just show, Glumgold is holding up a rock so you can progress, which I kind of like that.
Yeah. Would have been cool too if we could bring back Bubba for one little thing, Gizmo Duck for one little thing. Just tie the whole game all together, but having Glumgold do it is fine too.
I just love their back and forth. I love that Glumgold calls Scrooge Scroogey and Scrooge calls Glumgold Flinty.
Aww.
It's weird that The fact that they obviously have a deep hatred, they're awfully familiar with each other, which is nice.
They have pet names.
No, I believe no. As I said before we got to the Donkey Kong section, no, you had told me like, what's that really depressing Christmas story?
Oh my god. Okay, so I'm not 100% entirely sure if it's actually in a Scrooge McDuck comic, but like it might as well be because it ties in canonically pretty well. And it's the one where Scrooge is at Christmas. He's reading a letter from one of you find out in the end it's from one of his adopted nieces because he does that. He even does it in the comics where the letter at first is from a mother saying that she is hitting hard times, but she has a daughter that she wants to get a Christmas present for, and she's asking Scrooge to essentially give her a loan so she can give her daughter a Christmas. And then you read the next letter, and the next letter is the mom again saying that thank you Scrooge for the money, it's more than we could ever hope for, you made Christmas for my daughter this year. And then the next one is from the daughter now saying like thank you Scrooge for all the money, it helped so much while mom was sick or whatever. And then the next letter is again the daughter saying thank you Scrooge, I've graduated from college, I can now live the life I've always wanted, it's all thanks to you. And what happens is that the name for Scrooge gets less and less formal. It starts with Mr. McDuck, it goes to Scrooge, and then by the end it's Dear Uncle Scrooge, thank you for giving me the life I have today. And what happens is Scrooge is just sitting alone at home at Christmas reading these letters from his one of his nieces. And, you know, he's just appreciating her gratitude. And so then it goes to Donald and Huey, Dewey, and Louie outside of his mansion. And the boys are like, so do we sing Christmas carols to Uncle Scrooge? And Donald's like, no boys, I don't even think Scrooge understands what Christmas is.
Oh,
and
that's heartbreaking.
That's part of the thing that makes me. I don't think it's actually a canonical comic, because that's the thing is that Donald in the comics thinks the world of Scrooge. Like Donald honestly doesn't think Scrooge can do any wrong. Like he sees the method to his greed.
His
like,
madness.
Well, he's not mad. He's just greedy. But Donald sees like why he does the things he does. So it kind of weirds me out that Donald would be the one that would like shoot down Scrooge in that way. But like I said, Scrooge is known to adopt causes and adopt nieces and nephews. He does it with Webigail. He does it with Bubba. He does it, and so that comic is one of the best ones if you want to show people like what's the emotional side of Scrooge McDuck. It may not actually be one of the canonical comics, but it definitely envelops the exact same mood, the exact same characterization. It's very, very true to the comic, at the very least. So if it is fan fiction, it's very good fan fiction.
It's the best fan fiction there is.
Pretty much. I mean, it fooled me at first. Like I still haven't checked yet, so I'm just covering my bases here. I don't need the comment section to turn into a whole deal. It's like, that's not a real comic, MBM. It's like, sorry, I didn't know.
So we're about to start the final boss, and I've said this before. The the NES. Remember the first time I got to the final boss, the sprite of the final boss, this Dracula duck, scared the ever-loving shit out of me. As like a 6-year-old, just the kind of Scrooge McDuck-esque sprite with the cape and the fangs.
Wasn't that a show, Count Duckula or something? Not a Disney show, but I mean...
It's not... Well, you know what, Emmy, I will say, buddy, it's very funny you say that.
Oh my god. Why did you do this? What? What the fuck? We were supposed to have fun talking about a video game! What?
I fucking loved Count Duckula as a kid, so yes, it's very, very reminiscent of that.
Oh, you got me. I got.
Again, This boss, they added a shitload. Probably the same with Magicka the Spell. In the original, he just has bats that you have to ascend up to hit him. In this, they add so many different layers. I think the only one that this boss fight doesn't show off is he also turns into some kind of dragon.
Okay, that's badass.
Yeah, his main things are... No, here it is, sorry. Yeah, so he has... He turns into bats. He turns into a dragon. He turns giant. Which I think the animation of him giant looks really good.
Yeah, because the thing is, I like how it's just his face and it's just moving along. Like, it's so cartoony in that it's just his face moving side to side.
The best thing is, though, like, his eyes follow Scrooge. So no matter where you are, Dracula's eyes follow Scrooge.
Yeah.
Which looks great. But yeah, this boss is... I would probably say it's the... probably the trickiest boss in the game. How about you?
Yeah. I think it works very well as a final boss for this game.
And again, this piece from what I remember in the original game, it just plays the standard boss theme.
Yeah, just boss
when you
music.
fought Dracula. Yeah, so this final boss. I mean, there's pretty much everything outside of the original level traction hub world is original, but I would say this, along with Money Bin and the Vera Venus theme, it feels like it works within the duck. Because I mean, again, on there's an option to play everything 8-bit, and so when it plays everything 8-bit, it plays the original tracks, and then also Jake Kaufman made new 8-bit versions for all of his new material, and it fits, man. Like if I had never heard of DuckTales Remastered and I played this game with the original like 8-bit soundtrack, it matches. Everything all matches.
Yeah, there's no disconnect there. Cool.
The only slight thing is the length of the original tracks are like 30 seconds before they loop, and all of the original ones go for like a minute. So aside from that, it's almost impossible to tell.
Yep, NES track listing.
Oh no, Dracula's dead.
And he turns to dust. He died the same way a Final Fantasy boss would die.
Oh, please. I'm so
I love
glad
this.
you're
So
alive.
as we're about to see what happens now, how the fuck do Huey, Dewey, and Louie escape?
They
Down
don't.
that hole, lads. Launchpad will be waiting to take you to safety.
What about you, Uncle Scrooge? Yeah, the whole place is falling apart.
Magic and Glum
Now,
will
one
still
extra
have my
thing they
number
added
one
here as
line,
well, because
and I'm
in
not
pretty much
leaving without it.
after you defeat
boys
Dracula
get
in the original version, all you do is climb up like a rope. There's no platform.
A
You
rope.
just climb up a rope, and it's easy as piss. And so for here, they added first, as we're about to see, they made the rope into more of a platforming section, and then just to really kick you in, you're down. They added another section after that.
Yeah, I don't really like these post-boss section. Like these, everything in this game works really well. Nothing feels out of place. This section feels really out of place.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, to me it's just, I don't know. This whole section doesn't sit well with me. It doesn't jive. It's all, I just don't get a warm fuzzy feeling from this section.
Now this one, I intentionally lose now just to show you what happens if you do this. So that's why I'm just fucking about with the pogo stick here.
Oh, thank God. I was worried. Damn it, Gareth, get your shit together.
It's pretty anticlimactic. She just says it's mine, and then it ends,
And then the world refused to change.
pretty much. So yeah, and you know, these sections, what can be, if you're playing on the hardest mode, there's no continue. So if you get to this bit and these sections fuck you over, you gotta do everything again.
Congrats, here's another boss fight.
Well, no, I mean you have to start from the beginning of the game again, because again, there's no continues
Yep.
in the hardest mode.
Jesus.
So again, in the NES game, the original game ended here. As soon as you got the dime back, the game was pretty much over with.
Game over.
Have a lovely time
Scrooge's
together.
still richest ducking world.
Well, get fucked, Glumgold. And so, you know what? It's weird because this game actually has. It's a very kind of odd ending for a Disney game, because as we're about to see, that the first time playing it, I did not expect the game to have such a kind of dark twist.
Well, no, I mean, Aladdin had a section like this.
I mean, it's just weird that fucking like that's the end of the game. It's like, what the fuck was that?
What?
I was not expecting the game to be that short.
So Scrooge McDuck.
Nah, I'm only joking.
Scrooge dead. World still goes on.
3 nephews found burnt to a crisp in active volcano. That is a weird thing. How like they're ducks, but they're clearly shown to be eating like meat.
Duck. Yeah.
It's like they're fucking race of cannibals.
Well, I haven't seen any of them eat a chicken, so.
And so again, yeah. So that is the actual end of the game. And again, as MBM said, there are no alternate endings, which I am kind of surprised they went that route.
Yeah, and it's not like it's that big of a difference. It just
No.
changes the newspaper headline
We may not have got the
to Richest Duck stays Richest Duck 2. Scrooge McDuck finds the hidden treasure, breaks earnings record. It's literally just a better headline.
And then the what's the one where he's broke?
I don't remember. Scrooge found dead.
Former Richard Duck takes own life.
Oh no.
Well,
It was pretty much the same as your bad inning that you showed. Pretty much the exact same.
Oh, pipe down, you mangy bird.
And so I think so. This is the true final cutscene. It ends on a great joke, and it ends on because there's lots of things in the I mean how like they could have photoshopped a better newspaper than that.
It was real.
Nah, it's pretty much in the spirit of the original ending.
Isn't it great how they captured everyone outside of Scrooge's money bin?
Like, cause they weren't even flying in the same area, so they had to land near Scrooge to let themselves get captured. Just Glumgold, you're not even trying. You're just not. This is why you're number 2.
But like, why wouldn't you just be happy with being number? You're still rich as shit, man.
Money can't buy happiness, Gareth.
Good point. Good point. Roy. I love this joke. It's like Scrooge is like, you can get your own cone, and there can even be ice cream in it this time as well.
Yes.
You can even get a cone with ice cream in it.
You bastard man, Scrooge. I love you. Adopt me. I will gladly be one of your nephews.
I would totally be a adopted nephew of the McDuck family.
The McDuck clan.
McDuck clan. So here we are. So this was the end of DuckTales and Mario. And again, very, very interesting choice to go for a remix of Live and Learn.
Yeah, I mean, Sega, they must have pulled all kinds of strings. Well, yeah, Way Forward has that kind of leverage, you'd think.
Well, you know, it's just that Johnny Gioetti, big DuckTales fan. So as soon as he heard they were doing this, he was like, "June, we gotta have them remix Live and Learn. It's perfect."
That makes sense. That makes sense. It's all about having connections.
So here we go at the end. We are at the end of the game. Okay, it's pretty long credit sequence.
Yeah.
For a pretty short. Again, like the credit sequence is as long as the opening level. That's how long it is.
Jeez.
So just while we're winding down, man, is there any other sweet Scrooge trivia you want to lay down on us?
Let's see. It's from Scotland. Started as a shoe shine. Oh, there was one thing I really wanted to mention. So we've been gathering all of that treasure. We were essentially increasing Scrooge McDuck's wealth. But a question I had before we were even starting this playthrough is, what is Scrooge McDuck's worth? Well, turns out in Time Magazine, they did an article on Scrooge McDuck. And
The actual Time Magazine.
Time Magazine. And they listed his net worth as $1 multi-pajillion, $9 $623.62.
So does that mean that Scrooge McDuck is by far the richest fictional character of all time?
Most likely. I mean, the comics themselves, they also list him at 5 multiplicillion, 9 impossibilidillion, 7 fantasitrillion dollars and 16 cents. But in 2007, Forbes magazine listed him at $28.8 billion.
Wow.
Which is pretty underwhelming compared to, multiplicillion.
Compared to when these lists make fictional works for like Bruce Wayne and Tony Stark, how does Scrooge compare?
I think Scrooge still fucking wins. Because the
He
thing
probably
is,
has more money because he's not wasting it on fucking bat suits and Iron Man suits.
and he's always trying to earn more. Plus, even then, in terms of like the actual canon comic book characters, Black Panther is still the richest by far comic book character. Just
really?
because as the king of his country, he has like the right to all the it's the stuff that the vibranium,
Oh yeah.
in his country, he owns all of it. So that adds to his net worth.
So that means that he technically owns Captain America's shield?
No, that was already exported.
Oh, okay.
But, I mean, it's all the raw vibranium in his country he owns, so that adds to his net worth, and it makes him, he's 1,000 times richer than Iron Man and them.
I was like, there's an episode of DuckTales where, and you could tell they weren't pandering to kids with that show. There's an episode of the original cartoon where, gas is becoming very scarce. And so Scrooge goes to his oil refinery to find out where all his petrol's going, and it's just like you would not get that on a Nickelodeon show. They spend 20 minutes talking about gas prices, and finding out where my oil refinery is. I just love that stuff.
I always thought it was really sad the one episode with the lifestyle of the rich and the famous, where Scrooge loses his wealth and his whole family goes bankrupt and homeless. And it's just a whole episode of Scrooge being homeless, and it's so sad.
Does everyone turn their backs on him?
Pretty much, yeah.
Jeez!
Yeah, no one helps him out. He lives in a box, and then the way he earns his fortune back is he manages to find one guy's shitty fishing boat, and he deep sea dives for a treasure chest, gets his wealth and everything back plus, and he returns all of the favors that he had while he was homeless, like the soup kitchen and the dude who let him use his boat. They touch on a lot of economic things in that show. I mean, Scrooge is not without his lessons.
And again, so this thing we're hearing now is just kind of a extended piano version of the Moon. And I was just like, I would have much preferred a medley of all the tracks on piano rather than just the Moon.
Gareth, is the best song ever.
The Moon, again, it's a good song, but kind of like Wily 1 from Mega Man 2, vastly overrated.
Yeah.
Good track, it's just overused, and again, nothing beats. This should have just been Transylvania. just play Transylvania.
Just don't even remix it, just play it again. Play it again, Maestro.
It's also weird how in the original DuckTales game there are no credits.
Yeah, there aren't. You just play the intros. That was another fun thing about the old NES Disney games, is that they play the entire theme song, both in the beginning and in the end.
Hell yeah. Which weird because it wouldn't be on two things like the internet where you could track down who did what in those games, but it's very different. Games made nowadays they have to list everyone who works in the company. you know, even if they didn't work directly on the. Look, we're listing everyone who works just at the record, who's Disney character voices interaction. We've been listing people who work within the voices before we've gotten to the actual voice cast themselves.
Yep. Oh, yeah, and here we have the QA people, too. It's all of this. I mean, mind you, it's thanks to these people that the voice acting in the game was good, so... fair enough. You guys did your job well.
You did good. Again, it's some like really good voice acting. Here we go, the voice talents of. It kind of bums me out though that like they don't list who did what.
Yeah, they just list them as is.
Yeah, so most of these, like some people like Russi Taylor, who was Huey, Dewey, and Louie, and Webbergale, obviously had done it in the cartoon. Same with like Frank Welker coming back for some of the Beagle Boys type things.
Yep.
I know I played that Live and Learn mix up over it, but that that kind of extended version of the DuckTales theme was first used in I believe it was a Disney Afternoon CD.
Yes.
Yeah, which I believe there was also a Chip and Dale extended version. So if should we ever get a Chip and Dale remastered, I imagine they'll use the full version of that as well. So I think we're pretty much at the end. I want to thank everyone for joining us, and as we go to dive into Scrooge's Money Vault one last time, MBM, final thoughts?
I love DuckTales. Life is always a hurricane, trains, planes, and aeroplanes. I love Scrooge's money. Adopt me, Scrooge. I love you.
One thing I want to quickly bring up, on all of the chains and ropes, when you climb up them, they kind of like start swaying side to side, but when you scroll down, they become completely straight. So it's a little touch, but I like it. But again, this game really good. It's completely worth your money. If because of the fickleness of downloadable games, if you can still find a physical copy, I might recommend getting one of those, because when the PS Network goes down or the Wii U eShop goes down, it'd be hard to find it anymore. But it's a great game. I want to thank my homeboy MBM for joining me in this game, because I uploaded this footage back in July of 2015.
Oh my god.
Like we've been trying to get this done for a while. We've been talking about doing this game for a long time. We may at some point go back and do DuckTales 2 for the NES. That might be a fun thing to do. But MBM, where can people find you on the interwebs?
You can find me at findthecomputerroom.com if that ever goes up. You can also follow my Twitter at MexiBaseMonkey. It's a good Twitter.
It's a damn good Twitter. This is how good MVM's Twitter is. Not before we started, he retweeted a picture of a Wendy's on fire. MVM gives you the good shit.
So if you want to see fast food joints on fire,
follow MVM.
Follow me on Twitter.
Okay, guys, thanks everyone for watching, and we'll join you on the next OPs at some point in the near future.
See you on the flip side.
Bye.